What an exciting time it has been, and keep conversing on social media using the hashtag EHA2020. Well, my name is Bhavna Bhatia, and I welcome you all to this 5 days of power-packed panels, 180 plus speakers, and 100 plus awards, which is happening daily. And today we're on day 3, ladies and gentlemen. Started from August 31st, and it's going to go on till September 4th. And today, every bit of business out there presents an opportunity, and hoteliers need to come up with some innovative marketing and sales strategy. Well, ladies and gentlemen, our next session today is finally, it's you who will get it back. So this session is going to be moderated by Jatin Khanna, Market Vice President, North India, Bhutan and Nepal, Marriott Hotels India Private Limited, Nitesh Gandhi, General Manager, JW, New Delhi, Satyajit Krishnan, Area Director, North and General Manager, Taj Mahal, New Delhi, Tejinder Singh, Area Manager, East ITC Hotels and Cluster General Manager, ITC Sonar and ITC Royal Bengal, Rajesh Nambi, General Manager, The Lodi, New Delhi, Ashwini Goela, Cluster General Manager, Rajasthan and Agra, RGM, RHG and GM, Radisson Blue Plaza, Delhi Airport, and Vivek Shukla, General Manager, Corporate Affairs, Lalit, New Delhi. So, ladies and gentlemen, with this, I'd like to call upon Bhuvnesh Khanna, CEO BW Communities, to kindly join me out here and get this incredible second panel on day 3. Hello, Bhuvnesh.
Hi.
So, Bhuvnesh, what a great first panel we had. It was incredible seeing you get the entire panel curated, and it was what great insights we got from that.
You know, these guys are all stalwarts. They're the tallest leaders of this industry, and each name carries a lot of weight. They're very tall leaders. They are solid people. I mean, the next generation must touch their feet, and they can take away a lot.
Sure. Absolutely. So I think it's, yes, now it's time to get our second panel on the screen, ladies and gentlemen. We're bringing you the incredible panel on
Let's get
screen.
the stars in.
Yes, we should. We should. So we'd request the team to get the incredible.
Hi, Bhuvnesh. How are you doing?
From one Khanna to another. Hi, Jatin.
How are you doing?
Good. All right. Who remains?
We've got Vivek and
Hi, Nitesh. Hi, Ashwini. Hi, Rajesh. Teji, Paji. Teji. Tejinder, audio. Satyajit has to comment.
Yeah, Satyajit and Vivek.
They're coming in. Yeah. Sorry, we overshot with the stars by 6 minutes.
That's perfectly fine. No problem.
Yeah. So let's just wait for Satyajit and
So Rajesh, is this your new look in this time, or that's how it's going to be now? Like, I've got my new look. Whatever I'm losing, so I've got my new look.
You lost more than you should have.
Thank you for rubbing it in, Bhuvnesh. Thank you.
I remember, years ago, I was taken on a round of the JW Marriott in Pune by Ranjit. By the way, your hotel won a few yesterday. Hi, Vivek.
Hi, how are you? Hi.
Good.
Morning. I'm in Jaipur, so just a quick visit to the hotel.
It doesn't matter where you are nowadays.
Yeah, absolutely. Everything is virtual.
Yeah,
exactly.
So what a fine property you ran over there, right?
Yes.
So
yeah.
I remember going to I'm a vegetarian, so
right.
I was at this vegetarian restaurant at the JW Marriott, which is clocking in numbers and the kind of numbers the JW Marriott Pune is doing, not taking away anything from the JW AeroCity.
Exactly.
So my daughter. So my daughter
was actually overshot JW Pune now.
Yeah. So my daughter was the guest of Nitesh doing a quarantine time there, and she has awesome stories to say even during quarantine.
Great.
Hi,
so we've got Satyajit also now.
All right.
And as well.
So yeah. Satyajit is now about 17 kilos lower than he was, half the frame.
My God. Yeah,
Certainly
try to
would
fit into the frame.
Yeah, you do.
touch base separately on your diet.
Yeah.
Sorry?
It will touch base separately on your diet.
Nitesh, you have to lift yourself up a little or tilt your
me?
camera to, yeah, your screen towards you because you're bottom of screen. Nitesh,
Ah, okay.
Yes, please.
हाँ जी थोड़ा सा ऊपर उठना पड़ेगा. Much better.
Okay.
Oh, perfect. All right. Teji, Tejinder को क्या हो गया? He's frozen, no?
Frozen, yeah.
Yeah. So I think he'll come back. Let me start with this show. These are the guys who actually make it happen. They run the businesses. They bring in the moolah. They bring in everything. I mean, they create jobs. They create all the remuneration that we all need, right? And we all need preciously. And they're all stars. They're all leading. And they're almost ready to fill in big shoes. Jatin has already walked into larger shoes than he's occupied past few years. Each one of you in your own right is a brilliant star. I won't take away from Jatin. I look up to you all. And let me hand over to Jatin. His portfolio needs no description. Bhavna Bhatia has spoken about him. Over to you.
Thank you, Bhuvnesh. And hello everyone. Let's get straight into the topic, which is finally it's you who will get it back. So we've got a complete panel of 6 of seasoned and senior hoteliers right now with us. And I really want to start by asking all 6 of you, does this really put too much pressure on you, what Bhuvnesh was saying, and the whole topic of finally it's you who will get it back? I want to hear your opening comments before we dive into some other nuts and bolts and get these things rolling. So we can start with Vivek maybe, and then we can carry on from there.
Thank you, Jatin. Firstly, a big thank you to BW, Mr. Bhuvnesh Khanna, and the entire fantastic team, Mr. Batra, and all of you for curating such a fabulous show this week. Each session is very powerful. Well, the pressure is there of a different kind. The world that we are in, we never saw this, learned about it, and it's a high. It's a high of thinking differently, innovating differently, creating something new as an offering to our customers, to our employees, to our stakeholders, yes, I think every day is a new day. We are all evolving. We are learning as the days goes by, and it's fun. I'm loving it. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Vivek. Nitesh, what are your thoughts?
Morning, Jatin. Truly exciting times. Never seen something like this before. I remember 9/11, the young manager then. Didn't really impact my life much then. But now in these times, I think what's the exciting part is that whatever we did 6 months back and which is very successful is not successful anymore. The same strategies won't work. The same strategies of trying to fill up the restaurants or get in rooms will not work. It has to be out of the box. I think every single room night that we now go on, or every single wedding function we get on, requires a different form of communication, different form of convincing that needs to be done with the guest. So it's a complete reboot. And it's exciting because I think only those who are flexible will kind of flourish. And a great opportunity to flourish at this time. So opportunities are massive if you really go out and look for it. And that the new opportunities truly excite me at this stage.
Great. Thank you, Nitesh. Rajesh, what do you think?
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, BW Hotelia, Mr. Khanna, and Mr. Anurag Batra. Thanks a lot. As far as the last few months are concerned under the lockdown, and that's when I actually took over Lodhi as a general manager. It has been very exciting, and we obviously are a very different hotel in the midst of the Lutyens, Delhi, so to say. So our challenges are much more different. Our challenges are yet to come, starting maybe November, where we were completely dependent on inbound. So the dynamics have changed right now. We need to think differently on how to get in more domestic people, a domestic traveler into the system at the same rate as that of the international, the inbound traveler, and yet maintain the occupancy level to be able to give the EBITDA to the owners. So yeah, it's going. It's a very it's a lovely learning, to be very precise. I think all of us have been at a very comfortable space for a very, very long time as hoteliers, and I think this has shaken us up to an extent where we realize the importance of every half a penny that we spend or we earn.
Right. Great. Ashwini, what are your thoughts? Being the first, kind of airport hotel, I would say, and right now airlines, under so much of pressure. What are your initial thoughts on this before we get into some specific questions?
Thank you, Jatin. Firstly, thank you, sir, for having us over here. And I think a great platform that you've created for each one of us. It was great to learn from the stalwarts, and it's great to learn from people who are our elders. And as you rightly said, we need to touch their feet to get their blessings, and that's what you've created on this platform. Yes, so I think it's a very apt session, firstly, for us, because it's finally us who has to get it back, and I don't think there is any two thoughts on this around. Yes, we do have pressure, especially with Aero City coming up. This hotel already had pressures over the last few years, and then we were trying to recover it, and we had revived out of it. But now with COVID coming in, this again becomes another opportunity, as I would say, for us, as everybody now is on ground zero, and we all need to start from the scratch. So I think we will have good opportunities moving forward to revive the business, and also to see that how agile and how nimble are we to get what is available in the market for our hotel. So yes, I'm quite optimistic about the future. What has happened in the past now.
Great, thank you, Ashwini. Satyajit, over to you.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for this wonderful platform. Thank you to BW Hotelier. I think this is it's like literally like the hospitality industry talking to itself, and I'm so glad we have this opportunity. I think this is a defining moment in history of hospitality and in hotels, simply because I don't think anybody's seen anything like this before. One was a young hotelier when 9/11 happened, and 26/11 also was another kind of a defining moment to an extent in our country. But this is, as we know, global. Our source markets have been hit. Our our feeder markets have been hit. However, there's an old saying about every opportunity, every crisis is an opportunity. I think that's so true, because right now, as I said, it's a defining moment. The learnings we have today I think, will hold us in great stead as for generations to come, as hoteliers, as business managers, to be able to successfully survive this year, to be able to hopefully make profit, and to get business back on track, is a skill set we've all learned or are learning and evolving very quickly. So I think it is on a personal level, as a professional, and for organizations, I think it is painful, but I personally feel this is a very defining moment, because if we have survived this storm, every other storm or every other crisis, which at one time used to look very large, will now look like a little, passing showers. So I think it's unfortunate, but it's a great opportunity for all of us as an industry. And what I also appreciate about this industry, this situation, I mean, if I may use the word appreciate, in many ways, it's brought the industry together, because we're all in it, we're all facing the same challenges, we're all facing the same problems. I think across hotel companies, organizations have come together. It was wonderful how the Hotel Association of India and FHRI, under these umbrellas, were able to get on the table with the government, request for things. Mr. Chatwal, of course, is the president of HAI. So I think it's been a wonderful opportunity for also the industry to come together.
Great. No, thank you. Thank you, Satyajit, and thank you, everyone. I was just trying to write a couple of points and keywords where we were talking about thinking differently, flexibility. This is like a level playing field. So I want to stay with you, Satyajit, and with Nitesh. Maybe if you two can answer this. As the business cycle starts turning, a lot of relaxation, unlock 4.0, unlock 5.0 will also come through. How do you think things will be different in coming months? And I want you to put a 2-year cap right now and start talking to me. What do you really see changes happening in our industry, which will be good or bad? You have to define whether it is in product, processes, people. How do you think our industry will change? We can start with you, Satyajit, where you left. Maybe you can start your thoughts from there and jump to Nitesh then.
So I think, Jatin, the focus would change of the kind of businesses that we're going to be targeting or the kind of sectors we're going to be looking at. And it's already started happening, of course. There was a certain playbook we all followed. There was a format we all followed. There was a certain hotels, depending on the destination and location you were in, were focused on foreign travelers, business travelers or leisure travelers, and the others were for other kind of businesses. But now, I think we are learning to improvise and develop new markets. So what will change, I think, is first of all our approach to the segmentation in terms of, micro segmenting the country, because obviously it goes without saying that right now the focus is going to be the domestic traveler. But the domestic traveler has already got so many other, there's so many opportunities the way we look at domestic traveler. And I'll give you an example. At IHCL, we've started two very interesting initiatives. One is called 4D. Now, this is a focus on driving holidays, okay? And this is a concept of how we get our guests, expect guests to now be focused on their own driving holidays, and how do we make it easier for guests to do that? And we focused on certain resorts, certain hotels, even city hotels, where we feel there is huge demand. That is one segment of the domestic traveler. The second segment of the domestic traveler we worked on as an organization is what we call vocations, and some other companies have also got into this. And it's something which is gaining traction as we speak, because people don't want to work in that either in crowded office spaces, or they would be working from home. They might as well work from a resort or from a jungle resort or from a beach resort. Dream come true for a lot of us as hoteliers. We work in those resorts, but we actually don't have the vocation part of it. It's for us, it's
Right.
work. I remember my time when I was in Goa. Everybody who I spoke to, everybody thought I was always on the beach. The joke was I was not. I mean, I was always in the hotel looking at the beach. But jokes apart. So I think that is one thing which is going to change, is the focus on segmentation. The second part of obviously is going to be the obvious answer, is the focus on hygiene, the focus on safety, the focus on ensuring private space for guests. I think we're going to move away from those large crowded room kind of event concepts, and we have to, I think, on the fly improvise, whether we create virtual studios in our banqueting spaces, whether we create office spaces in our banqueting spaces, or virtual offices. So I think the whole concept of hoteliering, while the basic will never change, I mean, warmth, we'll have to learn to smile through the mask, as I said the other day, and that smile through our eyes. So that part won't change. But the way we do business, I think that's the big change, in my opinion.
And have you already started working towards these changes, which probably will come in effect in next maybe 8-10 months or something?
Yes. We started as early as April, and kind of then we've our organization, through various cultural cross-functional teams, worked on putting together these concepts. They were developed. The organization actually then did research on where do we feel these initiatives will go, and which will be the areas to target, and that's already been done. So yes, it's already been implemented. As I mentioned, we've implemented the 4D concept, which is a driving holiday concept. We've already implemented vacations. We're focusing on weddings as a segment. We're doing a whole a whole, I won't use the word spin, but a whole focus on weddings as a concept, and how do you do your weddings niche events completely with us. So we've already implemented this, and we're already focusing on that as an organization.
Great, thank you. Nitesh, over to you, same question. What do you see next 2 years?
I feel a little differently about this. And if you're asking us to talk about a 2-year window, I think it's important that we break down all our plans into 2 batches. We all have our sanitization plans in detail in action right now. They all call different names. We have the same chemical, the same machine, the same intensity. All that is taken care of. We all have vacations of various forms on offer. We all have takeaways on offer. We all are doing weddings on offer. We all also understand on a common ground that yes, it is only the domestic market which will see us through. Where is this information coming from? We see what's happening in China. We see what's happening in APAC. In all these countries, domestic is kind of seeing it through till such time that international travel happens. I think it's important that we just keep all these ideas in one little bucket. I think a couple of marketing guys have made it. We thought we made it for our own selves. Let's really see what our guests need. I think next 3 to 5 months, we all really need to focus on the principles of demand creation. It is not about creating that fancy work from a hotel or a staycation. Jatin, we've been open for the last 2 weeks. Ever since the Delhi government has allowed us to open, restaurants are open, rooms are open, everything is fine. I've called my top 100 customers coming from restaurants, our CEOs who give us business, and the first question is, I'm not sure. I'm not confident. Yes, you have a plan. I'm still not sure. So first, I think as an industry body, if all of us get together as a Delhi as a market or Mumbai as a market and reach out to a customer base and say, yes, we are ready to welcome you back, because that belief has to be really very strongly etched in the mind of the CEOs. If the CEOs first start to travel, it's only then will the word go back to number 3, number 4, number 5, and to the end traveler. We are on talks with most of our business clients across our feeder markets, which is Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, and Chennai over the last 3 weeks now. Intensive sales calling, virtually, of course. None of the corporates have plans to travel as of now. Even those who do, the only question is coming, how sure are you about your sanitization plans? They are saying that, fine, if Marriott is safe, if Taj is safe, what about another company? I mean, there are hotels wherein a traveler would go from one hotel company to the other hotel company. So I think at this stage, the most critical question on my mind to answer your question is work on demand generation. Work on telling our guests as an industry, there is nobody who's taken more effort than us. It is time that we bring those aspects to the fore. The vacations will follow, the staycations will follow, the work from home will follow. Another very positive thing I'm hearing is the CEOs and the senior management are actually fed up of these virtual calls. They want to get back to the normal business. India is a country of relationships. India is a country of hugs. India is a country of meeting together and shaking hands. 80% of people have said, listen, they told me, Nitesh, we want to come back and do one-to-one meetings. Weddings have already taken off for us. Ever since we opened, done about 4 events already, again 50 people and thereabouts. So we are a country of where people like to get together. But prior to that, I think it's important, first 3 months, starting today, let's work on demand generation. Everything else, I think, will just follow automatically.
So you raise a very valid point of demand generation. I want to ask this to Rajesh and Vivek. And I'm sorry, Tejinder is not able to join us because I think he's facing internet issues. But Rajesh, to you, Vivek, I really want to understand, when we talk about demand creation, we went through September 11, we went through 26/11, we went through recession in 2008. Every time what happens is that the brand starts getting into other swim lanes. Do you see that the luxury space or the upper upscale will still be able to maintain their swim lanes while we come out of this and as business keeps on picking up? What's your take on this, Rajesh and Vivek?
Jatin, I'll tell you that, I've been blessed to be a part of a group which has the super luxury malls, and attached to that are the best brands that probably most of us sport these days. Now, I'll tell you that luxury is here to stay. One thing is very clear, that people are coming out of their houses. The moment the malls open, the first 1 week, just like Nitesh said, that there were inhibitions. People were not coming out of their houses. People were you didn't see the footfall really. But it was one Tuesday when I just walked into MKT at the Chanakya, and I was surprised to see that the place was choco-blocked. Chanel was doing fantastic. They had it was crowded, and they had to have queue managers and the social distancing and so on and so forth. And after that, they have not seen a stop. Now, coming to our hotel, we opened on Friday, and from there till now, figures don't lie. Last weekend, we closed with 90+% occupancy out of the 111 rooms, not just the 42 rooms that the hotel wing has. On the overall hotel, we closed with 90% occupancy at 19,610 rupees. Now, we obviously are a very different hotel, and I'm not. Our room sizes are different. We have plunge pools as an additional point, etc. But what I'm trying to tell you over here is about luxury. Luxury is here to stay. Now, is this a bubble, as I feel? I've always felt, and I've always told my sales team that this is a bubble, and guys, please go and make hay when sun shines, because this is a time when you really don't sell a room in Delhi at 19,000 or 20,000. But we have plonked ourselves at that rate. Now, we are able to sell it because the people of Delhi are sick and tired of being at home eating their dal chawal. They want to come out. They want to pamper themselves. They want to see how the world looks outside of their house or outside of their balconies. And this probably is a short-lived bubble. I hope not, though. But luxury is definitely here to stay. And I think that we will have to obviously adjust rates based on demand, but not too much as well. I wouldn't say that. I for one will never ever recommend to drop rates and create demand. Uh, that's my take. Otherwise, bringing it back to what we were selling a few years back. I mean, yes, there was a 9/11 and there was all that, but this is a very different, very very different, pandemic that we're facing, and it's far more what do you call impactful in terms of economy. I mean, the world is discussing about 23.9 GDP loss and so on and so forth, but all that didn't happen then. It's happening now. So I think I think we have a very strong source to come back, and luxury is here to stay.
Okay, great. Just on a lighter note, I thought India probably has got more master chefs now. So there are no dal chawal at home these days, I can tell you, especially during these lockdown time, going through all the Instagram and Facebook. Over to you, Vivek. Do you really think luxury is there to stay and they'll be able to maintain their swim lane?
I think Mr. Bhuvnesh Khanna has something to say. He just raised his finger. Sorry, can't hear you.
You're on mute. You're on mute.
You're on mute. You're on mute. Can't hear. Unmute yourself, please. Yeah.
Yeah. I said Tejinder is coming. Tejinder, welcome back.
Great.
Yeah. Right, Jatin, I think good, set of question. Luxury is here to stay. I agree with what Rajesh just said and my colleagues here on the panel. Currently, the sense of well-being, the comfort of safety, and the hygiene level is very high. This bubble of what we are going through in 2020, perhaps it remains this way and gets over with it in 2021. We are all forgetting about it as a bad dream. But yes, I think the positivity with which the nation is moving, the positivity with which we are, from an optics perspective, the media perspective, the reporting perspective, we have to learn to live with what we are going through. Less is more is a sense that I'm kind of getting, where people are not wanting clutter, those long drawn feats of buffet that everyone used to boast about. The bite size is back, the single portions are back, delectable, edible, well presented and well thought health and immunity related food and beverages are back into the game. And I think this is here to stay. And I think with the Ayurveda, with Unani, with the Siddha, and I think there's so much that India has a diversity to offer, is very unique. And I believe that the quotient and today the customer is wanting to be loyal because he wants to go to a brand because he has a level of comfort. He recognizes those set of people who are there to assure and reassure. So I guess the venturing out and the syndrome of trying to do something new will be a little bit restrained. People would be loyal, but yes, they want themselves to be pampered now, be it opening of the spas, be it opening of even the pool, because I think the feel of just getting into the pool is missing this whole year with the heavy summers that we've all gone through across the country. And I am fairly confident that within a short span of time, I think things will be bouncing back, and I'm very positive about it. We are seeing that within the Lalit across the country, and of course, people are wanting to drive out, experience cities like Jaipur, Chandigarh, Mangar, and likewise now Goa has also opened up its borders effective yesterday. You don't need a test, so we will see a lot of folks driving across between states, so which is good news. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Welcome back. Finally, we have you. Obviously we started with everybody, their opening statements and all, but I really want to jump into F&B as Vivek started talking about it. And obviously ITC is known for their F&B. Looking at what the current landscape is, and a lot of our standalone restaurants not able to stand the pressure and closing out, do you see that there is a new, I would say, new energy which will probably come into our hotels when it comes to F&B spaces? And anything in specific ITC is doing in that area?
Hi, thank you. ITC as a chain, we are very passionate on our food. That's so true. Food and beverage is probably in our DNA now, and we've always believed in responsible luxury, which is our credo, which goes through everything. So it's not just about food. It's we believe that food and beverage is a very important vehicle to showcase the warmth and the smile and the service, which seems to be right now, struggling under the mask. But we're doing all that we can to make sure, first of all, that we have to win the confidence of the customer back through F&B. So we've done a lot of things. We developed a very strong hotel protocol, which is We Assure. Probably some of you may have studied it. So it has a lot of opportunities, and there's a lot of showcase for risk mitigation in F&B space and safety hygiene. And this protocol we developed with NABH and DNB, and it's been quite successful. Where we have even put cutlery, crockery in shields of paper, sanitized and then packed and untouched. And there are a lot of protocols on safe distancing and shielding of chefs to protecting of associates and guests, and a lot of marshalling on the floor. So all that has helped us, and and helped build confidence with the guests that with every subsequent visit they see something which reassures them, and then they go and tell other people. And I do feel that this in all this pandemic noise that is there, we shouldn't forget that the guest is also looking for reassurances for sure, but also looking at great food and beverage experiences. So we really don't want to mire a dal bukhara in the pandemic and not present it in all its glory. So we've developed service designs that make sure that service is delivered as they like it, hot food delivered with a lot of aplomb, and service designs which support it. And so we maintained that. And I think as an industry we need to do that. We need to, while it is a competitive space, but 5-star hotels cannot be safer than each other. They have to come across as safest. We should not be competitive in that space, and we should support each other as an industry and look at not even putting in any one comparatively inferior. And that's how the industry will impact. So if you look at Kolkata market that we are in, we can see most hotels are doing a hell of a lot of innovation in F&B space. So whether when we do a buffet, for example, you shield, I'm sure other people also do a shield. And a lot of home deliveries. Our app is doing very well. Our platforms are doing well. We have gone into with our brand called Gourmet Couch, under which we're selling all our brands to home with special packaging. So all that is happening, and the guests are lapping it up. So I hope that continues, and these are models which will continue to stay. They don't really have to vanish post some sort of a normalization setting in. They will continue to buffer your cash flows.
Great, good to know. Great. Ashwini, I really want to come to you and to Nitesh and Vivek on this question. One of the major stakeholder for our industry today is our own community and our investors. Now, obviously, these have been tough times for hotel associates or employees and our investors and owners. And your role is the most crucial when it comes to our owner or investors' expectations. Any views on this? And how are you going to manage this space in coming time? Do we hand over the keys and say, fine, whatever you say, we end up doing that, or we still run? And I know it's a bit of a political question, as in, you can be correct or incorrect in whichever way, but it's a very, very important question. And that will also mean that we're trying to maintain our brand sanities in coming months and years. So from you, Ashwini, we'll start, and then we can jump to Nitesh and Vivek.
Yeah, so great. I think it's a great question. Our owners who are actually very important stakeholders, because they are the ones who invested in the business and they don't see what's going to happen in the future. So I think as general managers and as captains, we need to change the mindset, and our mindset has to be more owner-driven, and we need to have an owners-driven mindset. That means as operators, we need not stop now at the GOP or the gross operating profit that we usually look at in the P&L, but we need to go all the way down to the NOP and to the cash flows. So there is no point in giving a book profit if you cannot give a cash profit. And I think the day we start working with the owners and understanding their issues of what their liabilities are, and working along with that liability to see how we can manage it. And it has to be a symbiotic relationship. It cannot be that I hand it over to you and I have done my job and I have done till the GOP, now you handle your liabilities. It will not work in the long run. And I think that's where we need to work along with them to help them, support them, and to guide them as to how we can manage more cash flows and cash profits so that they are able to take out the liabilities. Secondly, I think what is more important for us is, because we are the professionals and the operators who are running the business, we need to show the long-term vision to the owner. The owners have all panicked in the last 6 months, and not just, I can say for most of us that most of our owners have panicked and they don't know what's happening, so they don't know what should do. So most of them say either you close it down, or you have all the staff go and leave, or you do whatever. So every owner has reacted in a very different manner. I think what is more important for us as general managers is to give them a 6, 12-month and an 18-month vision, so that they know what we are doing, so that they could restructure their liabilities and go and see on what they could restructure and what they can manage, so that the profits or the revenues that we are going to give them, they can better align it and give the assurance to their lenders and to whatever liabilities they have, that if they cannot pay now, but then they can pay another 6 or 12 or 18 months, because that's how the business is going. So I think it's very important for us to show them the long-term vision of where their business is going to be from 6 months or 12 months from now. I think if we are able to do that, the owners are going to be quite okay with it. Thank you. Over to you.
If I have to take anything out of your answer, I would say that life should not stop at GOP. It needs to go to NOP. I think that's a very valid point. Nitesh, what are your thoughts on this?
So Jatin, our owners are they're family hoteliers, and they've been invested in this business for almost 30-35 years. This is the only business they know. So from that perspective, we've been very fortunate. In fact, very, very supportive right through the time when pandemic started. In fact, our owners know for a fact the value which Marriott International brings to the community of owners in terms of distribution, in terms of large-scale operations, in terms of GOPs, in terms of creating wealth, if I may say so. So we've been fully supported by owners. In fact, great example, Mr. Gupta donated his salary of 3 months to set up an associate welfare fund. So he's paying from his own pocket to make sure that everybody's birthday is celebrated and we can help associates who are in need. So on that front, I think communication is the key. They all know what's going on. As long as they see us invested heavily in the business and making sure that every rupee we spend is as we are spending from our own pocket, I think it's absolutely fine there. So that's what I want to share.
Great. I really like the part of transparent communication and being heavily invested. Great. So that's the other takeaway from your answer. Vivek, what are your thoughts?
I think, like Nitesh mentioned, I've been extremely fortunate. We as a company at the Lalit Suri Hospitality Group, with the tremendous vision and support and care of our CMD, Dr. Suri, and the executive directors, it has been a very, very passionate and a compassionate moment, reaching out to every associate of our company, helping them out. The amount of distribution and helping the underprivileged that has happened in the company on a pan-India basis, haven't seen that ever in my life. And I think I'm really, really excited and delighted to be a part of this journey of so much of generosity with which they came across and wholehearted support, be it a health issue, be it a need of any kind, including to the transgender community, to the community which is marginalized and is looking for support. It was really touching. Coming to your question of how is the long term being looked at, I think the operational efficiencies need to be relooked at and challenged. Be it the room to manpower ratio counts, be it the efficiency, and every individual needs to be wearing a business hat of profitability. If whatever we are doing, is it making sense towards the end? Because yes, there will be an initial impact on the average rates or the cost of doing business, but is that really making sense for us to go with it? And if it does, by all means, go ahead and do it. The level of empowerment is high. The multitasking and the multi-skilling across cross functions and everyone coming together with the limited resources in hand and the sanitization and the physical distancing protocols is being looked at. And I think a lot of care. We've launched a V-Care across the group with our internal associates as well as for our customers, which has been very, very well accepted. So reassuring our ownership that we are all on the right path, we are in it together, and we will make it happen in the most transparent, honest manner. Communicating with our associates, communicating with our customers has helped us gain some great early milestones. At the Lalit New Delhi, we've been fortunate to have been open with operating occupancy of almost 65 to 70%. Since April, we gradually picked it up. Since 4th of April, the hotel's been open. It's a 461 room inventory hotel, flagship for our company. And we were fortunate to have been taught by the infectious diseases specialists. We are home to doctors of LNJP and Hindu Rao Hospital, which is the largest facility for this scenario that we have. And we've had some tremendous learnings, which we've inspired and passed on to others. So the level of confidence is very high, and we are quite strong in our positivity in making and managing ourselves on a day-to-day basis and assuring the future is going to be absolutely good.
Great, thank you, Vik. So we're talking about partnership, we're talking about multi-skilling,
Yes.
which needs to be the demand of the day. Great, thank you. I'm going to stick with multi-skilling, and I'm going to go to Satyajit and Tejinder on this. I really want to talk about, there's a lot of talk about efficiencies, manpower ratio. What's your take on that, and anything in specific that you guys have started doing on it? And how do you see the industry evolving? We've seen days where the luxury space used to be at 1:3. Today that has come down to 1.5, 1.6, something like that. How do you see that evolving over time now? Satyajit, we can start with you on this.
So Jatin, you're absolutely right. It has got redefined. The ratios we were used to are obviously a thing of the past, thankfully. We were talking about owners a little bit earlier. Both owners and operators will be happy to see that the ratios in this country now are going to go through a change. So I think multi-skilling and smart skilling is going to play a very, very important role. I mean, it's not just multi-skilling. I think it's also getting people to work smarter. That's going to be the way forward. Obviously, there has to be now a focus on people doing multiple jobs and multiple kinds of jobs. There was a certain format that most hotels worked with, which was that a certain amount of jobs or work was actually outsourced to what we would call the contractual employees, and that would be not handled by permanent employees. Now that whole paradigm shift has happened, and we've already done that at IHCL. When we were resetting our costs, we were looking at how do we optimize costs in this current scenario. The obvious elephant in the room is the manpower cost, and we all know that. So we looked at it from a three-pronged approach. How do we handle multi-skilling? How do we skill our people further? How do we develop their skills? And how do we relook at managing with less? So we've worked on concepts, L&D concepts, and that's been implemented across our hotels, where we've now started getting our permanent staff to be doing a lot of the jobs which were earlier probably farmed out. The reason is obvious why. That helps in many ways, of course. One is brings down your variable payroll cost, but it also helps you kind of make a far more efficient machine. So the ratios obviously have undergone a change. The only area where there would be, in my opinion, still a large focus is housekeeping, because obviously the housekeeping department and the housekeeping role now is going to be very, 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 very crucial with the kind of work, pressure which is coming on them in terms of how we clean a room, simply as simple as that. But to answer your question, we have implemented processes to ensure our ratios have now reduced significantly. And we've already undergone this journey, and it is still ongoing, of large-scale multi-skilling, and as I said earlier, smart skilling, to develop the employees and to make them think that, I'm not just going to be somebody standing behind a buffet and ladling food out. I will also be able to serve. I will also be able to probably clean up the table after that. I'm just giving specific examples to kind of micro examples to kind of illustrate my point. So that's how we're doing it at IHCL.
No, makes sense. Thank you. Tejinder, what are your thoughts on this? I think you're on mute, Tejinder.
Yeah, we're not different. The challenges are similar in luxury space. We need to still deliver luxury. And we can't be seen as in this time we rolling back on delivery and service experiences. Having said that, this period has also been a period of rethinking business models. We have studied each and every aspect of business, and when you look at business in its entirety, and I'm sure this sentiment would be across the panel, and none of us have looked at costs so microscopically as we would have done in this period. Nothing is left under the carpet anymore. So one has changed the pie, so to say, and more attention, and at least at ITC, has gone towards areas which are completely towards the guest centricity, where the guest is. And there because we're a Six Sigma company in our training, we cut the non-value added activities. That's where we save the man minutes and put the man minutes into where the guest is. So that being the premise, we've done training non-stop, to multi-skilled people to handle at single points of delivery, to create wows at every moment of truth, rather than looking at multiple people doing one job. Have one person delivering multiple. Another thing I'm sure which is coming up very strongly is automation. We will automate heavily. Like probably that we have iPads in most rooms. We have enhanced functionalities of service deliveries, inquiries, and how we interact with guests. So there's a lot of automation coming in. Whether it is pool cleaning robots to vacuum cleaners that automate and clean themselves, to more efficient chemicals, to everything. Because there are in what has happened, and maybe that everybody will agree, is that work has gone down somewhere, but work has gone up a lot. The hygiene, the sanitation, the protection, and that part of it has taken a lot of work, and the core demand of product has not gone down. So one has to look at automation coming in, and a lot of innovation. You cannot not innovate on service designs. You cannot not innovate, on guest experiences to bring down costs. You can do both together, and that's what we've done. We've gone ahead, service design by service designs, and then created larger experiences out of smaller manpower. So that's what we have done.
Jatin, if I may, sorry, I'm so sorry. I just wanted to add something to my earlier point. Obviously, when I talked about reskilling and multi-skilling, another important role here is technology and going digital, which Tejinder was also just mentioning. At IHCL, we've already launched what we call iZest, which is a contactless check-in and check-out guest experiences as much as possible. Excuse me. And that also actually we've taken it forward into the employee space also. So iZest actually is a concept where we are advocating as much touchless as possible services are being offered to our guests. Obviously, it goes without saying that we supplement this with our new SOPs, which we call Tajness in the new normal. So the SOPs have also been reworked, keeping in mind new ratios. So I think that's what probably is a big important learning for all of us. And I'm not just talking IHCL, this for all hotel companies, that we use technology and innovate. And that's why I gave you the example that we've implemented what we call iZest, both in the guest sphere and the employee sphere. Similarly, we look at revisiting our SOPs, what was maybe an expected thing to be done earlier may not be required in the new normal. So there are two other ways which we've done this, not only skilling, but through digital and also re-looking at our SOPs.
Great. To sum up this question, what we're really talking about is smart skilling. What we're really talking about is innovating, investing in technology, and tomorrow's hotels will be heavily invested into technology. Great. But that's good point. I want to start with Rajesh on my next question. 90% occupancy, 19,600 ADR, awesome. And then follow that with Nitesh and Ashwini. I really want to talk about revenue management. You know, every general manager and every area head has their own stamp on revenue management. What do you really see will happen with revenue management in coming months where the business is still not there, supply-demand mismatch, rates or occupancies? What are your thoughts on that, Rajesh? And then Nitesh, if you can jump in, Ashwini, you on that, please.
Thanks, Jatin. So I'll tell you how we started was that we really gauged the who's who of Delhi, and you know what, we have an advantage of over 650 families who are members in our club. So you know, we always had a pulse of what was happening at their residences while we were doing a lot of delivery and stuff like that, and we were in constant touch as a team. We were in constant touch with our guests completely, and we knew that yes, there is this bubble which is going to last for some time. Now, when I said what we've done very recently, again I say that this is a bubble. It will probably last for a month, maybe a little bit more. But down the line, I think I still want to hold what I said some time back, that discounting might sound like a good idea, but it's only going to be a short-lived one. Dramatic price cuts are not going to bring us anything. I think what we should really focus on is all of us have worked on our special packages, value add-ons, flexibility in booking and in cancellations, policies, etc., etc. These are the things that is really going to be playing a key role in the near future, because out of the number of guests who have walked into our hotel, I can tell you that there have been precisely 4 guests who have taken a flight and walked into our hotel. Everybody else is our locals. We've had three guests from Bombay and 1 from Bangalore. That's it. So what does it mean? I mean, basically, this is all the Delhiites who can afford that kind of money and want to splurge and want to enjoy are the ones who are going to come out of their residences for a night, and that is what is the average stay is also going to reduce gradually, because you know Delhi is not. I mean, the locals are probably not going. Domestic market is not going to walk into Delhi to stay for 2 or 3 days and look at Qutub Minar and so on and so forth. So from the leisure perspective, yes, we are going to be hit very badly. So now the revenue management and the managers now really need to think on focusing on all the other segments and see how we can, like Satyajit said some time back, focusing on getting people to utilize their rooms and as office spaces. That is something which will kind of pick up. Long stays will pick up as and when the spa and gym, etc., opens up with the due diligence also. I mean, contrary to the popular belief that there is no demand in the market or whatever it is. I mean, I've been talking to a few people, not in this forum. This forum is extremely, extremely strong. Everybody is very positive over here, but I've been talking to quite a few people, and they say that there is no demand in the market. But I feel that there is a huge demand in the market to be able to sustain for at least next 2 to 3 months, post which we'll have to relook at our strategies all over again, our marketing strategies all over again, and go back into the market and see what we can do more. I mean, it will keep changing.
Thank you, Rajesh. On a lighter note, you reduce the rate. I can give you 10 room nights from this panel. Nitesh, over to you.
Thank you, Jatin. Jatin, with an inventory of almost 525 rooms, 30,000 square feet of catering space, the numbers, they just take a different sort of meaning for us. Luckily, last 3 months, we've been averaging 50% occupancy, but I'll be honest, largely due to the Vande Bharat repatriation business. Corporates are coming in slowly, thereabouts. Catering has just started. My take on it is very simple. We will keep the rate, and I'm very clear about it. Having seen a lot of dips in the past, and the worst mistake any one of us can do is to fill up the interim business. You drop your rates and start filling up occupancies. We understand the good old saying that ARR doesn't go to the bank, but the RevPAR does go to the bank. I get it. But in the larger scheme of things, if we were to deplete our rates at this stage, a bounce back will take a longer time. And my logic for it is very simple. Let's look at the main businesses. I'm largely a corporate hotel. The main industry segments which give us businesses, let's say, is pharmaceuticals. It is a little bit of IT. It is ITES. It is consulting. It is manufacturing. Except for automobiles, which has been badly hit by about 35 to 40%, all the other segments are only down by 10 to 15%. Pharma stocks are booming right now. If you speak to our corporates, none of them have reduced their per diems. None of them are saying we want lesser money. They're all saying we are not yet to travel yet. So it is important to know what our customers are saying. They're not asking us to reduce the rates. So, but nobody would mind if somebody else goes back to them and saying, listen, stay with me, I'll give you 20% lower. Nobody's going to say no to that business. So I think that the idea here is nothing to do with rates being higher or lower. We can all maintain what it is, but it's important that we work towards getting our guests back. Another opportunity, I mean, since everybody's here, and Jatin, you and I have spoken about it, when it comes to revenue management, it's also about how we look at our costs, right? I mean, if you think about 10 years ago, I remember I used to run a report for my GM about complimentary breakfasts. It used to be 10 to 20% of all guests staying used to get complimentary breakfast. Now it is 99%. Do we still need to give complimentary breakfast to all guests? If you're talking about revenue management, let's look at the various add-ons which go into the room. We talk about transfers, we talk about internet, we talk about breakfast, and the list is incredibly high. I think it's also a great opportunity for us to reset the graph of how we sell our rooms completely. Coming on to catering, we are still holding on to a pricing. The numbers are quite limited to about 50, 55 guests. And guests of all the events we've done so far, if they get value, they have no problem in paying. In fact, that's the beauty of Delhi as a market. You create value, as Sajinder mentioned about his food and ITC. The pricing is way off, it's way high. It is high because it's great value. So I think this market has got no problems in paying money as long as the value perception is held with deep respect. So that's my take on revenue management. Thank you.
Great. I don't know how many of you realize that how smartly Nitesh inserted saying, Jatin, never call me and talk to me about any occupancy. This is what I'm going to do in coming months. Great. Thank you, Nitesh. Ashwini, over to you before we jump onto some of the other things.
Okay, great. So yeah, but I slightly have a different viewpoint over here, and I think being an airport hotel, we anyway were a heavy transit hotel through and through. I would like to go for the occupancy route for the moment, and not only for the moment actually, which is what we've been following for the last few years over here. And the reason why I say this is because we've got some good restaurants, we've got some good areas, and we would definitely want more footfalls to come in, which is basic thing that if you get more number of people inside the hotel, you have more opportunities to sell your ancillary or your other areas. So we've been open again for the last 2 weeks, and we've seen that the transit business is coming in. These may not be people who are corporates who probably still have their per diem intact. These are all traders and SMEs who are traveling from nearby towns, who have work and who do not have the luxury of working from home. So I think that segment, which used to probably or would be going probably to a level lower than our hotel up till now, is now wanting to come and upgrade themselves and stay at a hotel which they can trust. And this is where I would go, that they are using my IRD, and I was into one of the sessions just before this, and somebody said IRD is going to come back. And I think which is a fact that we are definitely seeing our IRD sales going up. Even if they have complimentary breakfast, they don't mind paying and having it in the room. And I think the sales of the other areas definitely go up as we have more footfalls coming in. So I would like to stick to the fact that I would like to go the occupancy route over here.
Sure. And to be very honest, rate or occupancy, it's purely on your strategy. What you see will take you to where your end vision is. What I'm going to do is I've got 2 questions, and this is to all our panelists. First question is, I'm going to keep it in a very simple and brief. 50% occupancy And pre-COVID occupancies for India used to be at 70%. So there are two figures now, 50% occupancy and 70% occupancy. Get your crystal balls out and tell me, when do you see 50% hitting consistently, not just weekend, like Rajesh said, 90% occupancy on a weekend. No, I'm talking about consistent 50% and consistently 70%. Your crystal ball. We can start with Tejinder. Whatever month, quarter you want to say, just simply say.
Okay.
Tejinder recorded. It is recorded.
No, I was reading a book. Probably you guys have read a book called Eat That Frog. You know, it's a book by Brian Tracy. It's a bestseller. You know, it has a very interesting analogy. It talks about it puts a question to you: how do you eat an elephant? And the answer is one bite at a time. You know, I don't subscribe to this 50-90 theory. You know, it is not a time for a 50-90. One bite at a time for me would mean that, you know, when you plan for the immediate future and you build up your business models one step at a time, you plan small, you execute small, and you deliver small. You know, and we have to inch up. So without revealing figures, you know, what I had done in the month of June to what we have done in the month of August, there's a difference. There's a very marked difference. That's because we are also, you know, learning to match the demand that exists with the supply that we must provide. So it's not just a question of how much demand. It is also, we as hoteliers must now start understanding what is the demand, and then make it dynamic and appealing to that demand, and hence it'll happen. Also, I do want to mention here that this is the time to think TRevPARs. We should not closet ourselves in the traditional business models of room revenues and F&B revenues. We have to also look at, you know, ancillaries really beefing up your cash flows, and then carrying it all the way down. You know, we also are accountable to shareholders. We don't have a person, you know, like an owner, but we are owned by shareholders, so even they are accountable. And therein lies the conundrum that, you know, it's what I may take out a crystal ball, but am I going to plan for it? Because we are not soothsayers. We don't have to take out a crystal ball. I must be having the ability of seeing the near future, and then plotting my plans to make sure that near future is always a reality, rather than look at, you know, 50%, which will happen. I guess it will happen. But when and what factors will happen? Will it be a cure? Will it be a vaccine? What gets you to the 50%? You know, I really, you know, I can give you a guesstimate, but will it be a value add? I'm not sure.
Date bolo, date.
That's all right. That's all right. No,
50% in some months for sure. I think November, it's definitely looking bright. December is looking bright. Jan is looking bright. I'm not so sure about 50% in October.
Okay. So November
May
onwards.
is looking 50%. So yeah.
Okay. Great. Satyajit, let's just make it a little quick. 50-70%. When do you see that?
Is there an off-the-record option on this program?
100%.
Yeah. I'll start.
No, if I was a dreamer and I looked at my crystal ball, I'll give you a very different answer. But, you know, to just put something in perspective, I think what we're focusing at IHSAIL is that we're focusing on 2020 right now. We're not looking at the moment beyond. I'm not saying we're not looking at beyond, but our immediate focus is we made a comprehensive strategy called Reset 2020, where we literally looked at how this year do we completely ensure less erosion or no erosion of stakeholder value through a very comprehensive way of all the pillars of profitability. Coming back to your, so therefore we are at the moment saying in 2020, probably by Q4, we would be able to, by Q4 of this year, it is looking positive from a perspective of between 50 to 70% for Q4. Obviously, it depends on many markets. A company like ours, and we have so many different segments and markets we operate in. So it's very difficult to give you a overall thing. But that's as far as this year is concerned, which is our focus at the moment. Going forward, I think a year from now is probably when things would probably be more crystal clear. The point I'm trying to make here is, as Tejinder said, there is a big variable here. How does this pandemic play out? You see, right now, given the current circumstances, things may really improve by even Q3 of this year. But the second wave, the way this pandemic is playing out, the way it is spreading, and the vaccine, I think those are the crucial points which will really that will help us get this answer clear.
Great, thank you. Vivek?
I believe it's actually different strokes for different folks. Every property is very unique, and with different locations pan India that we are present in, and the given scenario that Satyajit also just spoke about, I believe Q1 of 2021 should see a consistent uptick towards a 50% occupancy, and Q4 of 2021 should see a 70% plus, in my opinion.
Great, thank you. Nitesh?
So Jatin, we've been, I think, slightly fortunate given our location in the city. So we've been hitting 50% for the last 3 months, including August closure. September looks the same. I think starting March next year, basis what I've heard from all our corporates, definitely crossing 70%. So until March, between 50, 55, 60%. But starting March will definitely be major uptick.
And that's without the Vande Bharat, is it?
Yes, please. We got a couple of segments. So some segments are working, some are not. But again, vaccine, even if it's announced, I think it'll make a huge amount of positivity all around. But like I mentioned, we all, with our combined efforts and working towards, not competing with each other, but cohesively working towards a positive environment for all our hotels that is safe and they're welcoming, I think make a huge difference.
Jatin is a very...
Just increase your budgeted numbers for next year, Nitesh. Rajesh, over to you.
So we're looking at closing 60%, 60 to 65% starting from 1st of September to the 31st of March. About 65% average is what we are looking at. So I think there is a demand. We should be able to do it.
Great. Ashwini?
Well, if you speak about my hotel, I think being again at the airport as Nitesh is, we've already been hitting 50% occupancy. So, but if I was to speak about the area which I manage, which is Rajasthan and Agra, I think I look at 50% probably by the end of this year. So, are you taking calendar year or financial year based on the quarters? Then I can give you the.
That's okay. You can go with your calendar year. That's not.
Yeah, okay. So calendar year Q4 this year is what Rajasthan and Agra looks like. Where we would be hitting 50% occupancy. Depending on the social events, which are, of course, lined up for November, December, we may also start seeing a 70% occupancy from Q1 next year. For as far as me as a hotel is concerned, I look at it at a 70% occupancy by the end of this year and consistently. And of course, moving on, it should remain on.
Okay, that's great. So we can actually safely say that 50% probably looking at everything maybe from January or February onwards, 2021, and 70% maybe at the last quarter, which is October, November, December in 2021. Okay, I really want to, touch upon this. Is a very important topic, and we almost have 10 minutes, so let's try and keep it because I've got a few other questions which I want to ask all of you. CSR, that's really, really close to everybody's heart. I know you guys all had, businesses. Tell me, what have you really done as an individual or as a business which you are heading? And we can start maybe with Ashwini, you, and come down, and we'll keep on asking. Just for everybody's information, we can share this.
So what we've actually done for our hotel is that we've tried to create a fund over here wherein we've tried to help people who need some support at this time. It could be any of our colleagues. It could be any people who need some assistance. So we've tried to kind of create amongst our team members some amount that we could support them as and when they would, because we've seen that quite a few people have lost their assignments. Second, what we've done is we've also called in for people who have lost their assignments to write into us with their qualification, their skill set, and what alternate skill set that they feel they can fit into, so that we could probably earmark them and keep them for our hotels, which we have in our areas, and also as Radisson Hotel has its presence across India, we could probably support them over there. So that's something that we've done proactively from our end. Thank you.
Vivek, anything from your side?
I would really give it to our ownership, who has been extremely compassionate in distribution of, this is not only in Delhi, but across all the cities we are present in, and also helping the underprivileged, the marginalized communities, like I mentioned earlier, from dry provision goods. Every hotel made their face masks that were tailored in-house, that were distributed across. Also soaps, since hand hygiene is a very big subject right now across the world, soaps that get accumulated and a lot of toiletries that get generated, we kind of, distributed that. Packed meals, we gave a lot of packed meals to, there were feeding centers that we adopted in various cities, that we used to cook lunches and dinners and we used to serve. We also adopted a few quarantine centers of the government hospitals that we have been distributing our packed meals to, and supporting with our farm fresh vegetables or any groceries that would be required. Also healthcare assistance. So we've been very fortunate, even with the Amphan that happened in West Bengal side, with the devastation that happened, supporting the orphans, the schools over there. A tremendous effort has been put across as a group. So I'm really, really fortunate and proud.
Thank you. Nitesh?
So, Jatin, you know it for a fact, but it's important that I say that at Marriott International, we really encourage that the communities that you work in, we kind of adopt them. And this time was no different for us. So seeing the mass exodus of all the laborers who were leaving the city of Delhi and walking for hours, and we all saw those sights. I mean, we took the lead of starting to deliver packed meals, almost close to 3,500 meals a day. And there's a time when we, like Lalit did it, there was a time the government reached out, said, we need more meals. So I remember we reached out to Rajesh's hotel, Lodhi, prior to him joining there, and the Lodhi kind of jumped in. And about 7-8 hotels, all of us got together and started doing almost close to 8,000 to 10,000 meals a day. And this is across brands, but all of us unified with one simple measure of helping out. But across Marriott, in South Asia, I know for a fact more than 1 million meals were given out. All hotels, all of 120 hotels put together, we crossed the number of 1 million meals. But even that wasn't enough. So face masks were made in hotel laundry teams and given across. So, and it still continues. But CSR, I think, like Ashwini mentioned, a couple of our team members who were displaced, we worked extensively with other companies like Accenture, with Zomato, and got them jobs there. And of course, the biggest mission is that as we increase occupancies, we also get every single team member back into the hotel. We've actually started hiring back, which is the good news. We got about 15 people back already, and the balance will get them back before the end of the year. So that's, again, a community which I think we are all working towards. So all of those who have been displaced, I'm sure we can help them out. That's equally important.
Yes, great stuff. Thank you, Nitesh. Rajesh?
So Nitesh already said what Lodhi has done individually, but as a DLF family, I must tell you that we were associated with that as well. And from we've done close to about 10,500 meals per day going out of the Aralias and the Magnolias, where Lodhi was also, the team of Lodhi was also involved. So every day over there. And then additionally, what we did over here was that, we have a neighborhood which was rather unfortunately under quarantine for a very long time. And not many supplies were going in there. So we, as a hotel, managed to pack small raw materials and giving it across to them over the borders of the containment zone and so on and so forth. So each day we were giving about 1,000 odd packs, which contained rice, lentils, and some oil, salt, etc. Just to kind of make sure that they get the basics right.
Great, thank you. Tejinder and Satyajit, 30 seconds each, please. Satyajit, we can start with you.
Well, 30 seconds is a bit difficult if you talk about Tata and IHCL in terms of CSR. We might need another program, but very specifically, there are various specs. I think one is the CSR at home. How do we rehabilitate the employees who are displaced? So that's something we've worked on as an organization. In the larger context, medical workers, health workers, we house them in our hotels in various cities. We provided food to hospitals where there were COVID patients in 3 cities. Went on to lakhs of meals, actually. Consistently did that for a long time. As I said, health workers across, again, multiple hotels, multiple cities, partnered with government and municipal organizations to help their doctors. Also fed the migrant laborers, etc. So I think as an organization, we looked at various aspects, and close to 1 million meals is where we looked at just in terms of food. And then, of course, hotels being opened up to the doctors, etc.
Sure. Thank you. Tejinder, any parting thoughts from your end on this?
Yes, of course. ITC has always been close to community. We started off by the chairman pledging 150 crores to the coronavirus fund. And we've lost count of the meals. We've lost count of the grains of rice to support given to healthcare workers and everything. And there was not a single location where we were not partnering with the government to give support where it's needed. And I think, what we all must be proud of as hoteliers is also that we opened our doors to even accommodate and put our own people with protocols to help out people who needed help, whether there were people quarantining, whether there were, some locations we associated with hospitals willingly, to everything. So, it's a salute to the industry as well that, we, despite being struggling to stay alive, we continue to support the society. And, while everybody praises the doctors and everybody, I think a salute is due to hoteliers as well.
Sure. Great. I think we've kind of almost run out of our time. But my parting thoughts overall on this is, I think while the times have been tough, I think we as hoteliers have really come out of strong. And I'm really, really glad to see a lot more positivity coming out of all of you and really talking about demand generation business. I just want to ask you one last question and just have to reply in one word to everybody. Market share or ARR? Ashwini?
Market share. You already know.
Vivek?
ARR.
Nitesh?
ARR.
Rajesh?
ARR.
Satyajit?
ARR, please.
Tejinder?
TREPA market share.
Great. Good to see. So at least we will not have a repeat of rates going down and taking us years and years to bring it back up. Thanks a lot, gentlemen. Thank you. Really pleasure talking to all of you. Thank you. Over to you, Bhavna.
I must come in over here before we close this session. Can the speakers put their hands together for wonderful moderation by Jatin? Right?
Oh, please. Thank you. Thank you.
Most efficient moderation in terms of time, right?
Thank you.
The first session we started and finished exactly on time. Wonderful moderation, Jatin.
Thanks.
I'm delighted to have narrowed down without a second thought on Jatin. I don't know how I plucked him out of the air. I knew he was the man who was going to lead this. And I'm thankful to my mom that I did well. Having said that, gentlemen, you are a wonderful advertisement for all the impressionable ones who are already doing hoteliering in various institutes and ones who want to pursue it as a career. If all of them are going to watch your recordings, and I watched you now, you guys are not just able, you are stars who are stable, right? And wonderful. Each one of you lead such wonderful hotels. You have somebody who heads the Lodi, somebody who heads ITC in the East. Here you have Satyajit, who heads his own portfolio, Ashwini. You have Vivek. You have Nitesh, another smart hotelier, and Jatin. Jatin was, for all of you know, was a general manager when I started this business, and to where he is now. You're all going places. Do well, keep smiling, and keep raising the bar, and keep bringing in more hoteliers and motivate them. Thank you all. Teji, God
Thank
bless
you.
you, everybody.
Thank
Uh,
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Rajesh,
Thank
Rajesh, Ashwini, Vivek, Satyajit, and you, Jatin. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Stay
Thank
safe.
you.
Stay safe.
Thank you so much.